I wish good things to you who is watching this. I am Alexey, and I decided to hold a semi-spontaneous stream of round 4 of Carcassonne Champions League. And if you feel that I've already said these words before, this is because I have. Just a few hours ago, we streamed the encounter between the Taiwanese player Hydra Baby and the Chinese player with screen name Mitao Cat, and this time we are streaming a Group H encounter between Fausto Barral from Brazil with a screen name FauBarr and Xiangyu Qin with a screen name Self-Evident 2 from China, who was the semi-finalist, one of the four semi-finalists of the Carcassonne World Championships in 2023, and also one of the leading strikers of Team China at the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships 2023. So a reminder of you that China won that championship. Now, hi Hugo, hi Self-Evident. Oh, I see that you came in here for some pre-match banter. You're saying matches between Asia and America always make one of the players very sleepy. Yes, this is very interesting. I think here both players might be sleepy. Okay, so now in Brazil, I think it's like 10 p.m. So already sort of kind of time to sleep. So maybe Fausto is close to falling asleep, especially if it's early to wake up at work. And Self-Evident, so I think it is 8 a.m. at China. No, it should be 9 a.m. in China at the moment. So then, actually, yeah, 9 a.m. is not that bad. This is dependent whom you ask, but this could be like right before work. So maybe the strategy of Fausto should be try to stall the game for as long as possible and make Self-Evident late for work or late for studies or whatever they're doing. But maybe the strategy of Self-Evident is to stall for as long as possible just to make Fausto sleepy. Well, anyway, hopefully that both players will try to decide the fate of the match on the board as opposed to with making each other sleepy. Let's just have a look at the group situation real quick before we proceed and do the actual match. So Group H. Here, Self-Evident is doing pretty well for themselves with 2 victories and 1 loss. And Fausto has the opposite, 1 victory and 2 losses, meaning that everything can happen. A reminder to all of you that 3 out of 6 players in each group qualify for the playoffs. So if Fausto wins, then we're going to have 4 players with 2 wins. And if Self-Evident wins, probably they'll be like very, very close to guaranteeing the qualification spot, maybe even guaranteeing, because look at this, out of 3 players who are on 2 points, it is Self-Evident who has the better tiebreakers. A reminder to y'all that the match is a best of 3, and this is enough of pre-game banter. It's time to watch some actual Carcassonne. Alrighty, so because neither player has a premium account in Board Game Arena, that's just a technicality. This means that the time format is going to be a little bit different here than usual. So 15 minutes per player for the entire game. This will be the format. As you can see, Self-Evident in good shape, rating-wise above 700, above the master threshold, and Fausto with 574. So we already see a very fast-paced game, both in terms of how quickly the players are making the moves and in terms of points on the board and the events. So we just turned on, but look at this. Already a huge farm, 12 points, 4 completed cities. Red drop a farmer, the red, that would be the Chinese player, matching the color of the flag very well. The blue meeples belong to Fausto. As you see, both of these 2 farmers belong to Fausto. Not part of the Brazilian flag, but interestingly, oh, actually it is part of the Brazilian flag because the ball in the center is blue, so everything works well. Here we see Self-Evident dropping a second farmer, which makes sense, and then blue defending his city a little bit. So far, a relatively even game, except for the fact that Self-Evident has 10 extra points on the scoreboard. But if blue manages to finish this city and maybe this city and then meeple this road afterwards, then blue will be doing just fine. So as red creates a threat against this city, blue will now happily finish not finish, but continue this city and threaten to draw a city cap and place a farmer and connect to this field. And which is why red decides to prevent said threat and kind of sticks this road into blue's city. Now also blue needs a city plus road tile here and a city plus road tile here. So blue needs the same type of tile in both places in order to complete the city. By the way, you may notice that the background behind me has become a little bit mountainous. This is due to the spontaneous nature of the stream. But as far as I know, Carcassonne is a city that is located not in a mountainous area. So on some level, I'm not being true to the game with my background, but it is what it is. The most important thing that's happening, that's all in the foreground. Now the game has slowed down a little bit, both in terms of how the board is changing and how quickly the players are making their moves. We can see that Self-Evidence is starting a road over here. Blue started a city and blue started a road. Ooh, that's a strong monastery placement here by the Chinese player. 7 points and controlling this meeple here by blue. This monastery, though, is staying with 2 points still. That's like for a long time. It will still be 2 points. Fausto still defending his city. The idea was that even though blue is restricting his city a little bit, he preventing red from restricting the city in a much worse way. For example, if red took the same curve and pointed it the other way, there would have been only one tile remaining that fits into this square, because this tile and this tile are the tiles that would have gone over here, but they're already on the board. But now, the way blue did it, there are actually still 6 tiles remaining that fit into the square. So blue is doing pretty well for himself. And actually, just if blue manages to draw something here, and maybe meeple this road, he's doing just very well. Red has the temporary meeple advantage though, and red starts a new city. That's a strong move, trying to also block this city perhaps. And the bad thing for Fausto, he doesn't really have a good defense. So this is a decent move, of course, but it certainly hurts to drop a city cap like this. And blue is forced to reduce the number of tiles that fit into this square from 6 to 3. Still, 3 is a good number of tiles. He will be taking a city cap with a crossroads like this, and he will be meepling a 3-point road. 88% chance of that happening at some point in the game. Red keeps restricting blue. So again, just red is making sure that blue keeps needing the same type of tile everywhere. So here, 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 here. These are all city plus road tiles. There are no city plus field tiles. And speaking of no city plus field tiles, I think an annoying move that Fausto can play is going over here or here. That's also a really good move without without a meeple. Just trying to bother this guy a little bit. And now, of course, I expect Fausto to go over here. Yeah, that's a strong blocking attempt. And look at this, just in time, just in time. So red almost drew the tile that would have fit into this square, but blue blocked it, also being very precise, blocking it from the correct side. Let's see how red responds here. Possibly starting a new city here, possibly just dropping a city cap next to his monastery, or being adventurous and meepling yet another city, which would certainly be not for the faint of heart. So yeah, it is now late evening in Brazil and early morning in China, and it's kind of night in Europe. So I don't know if I'm gonna have any European viewers. Do let me know if you're from Europe and explain yourself why you are not sleeping. My explanation is that I just figured that Carcassonne is a bit more important, but I'm certainly going to sleep right after that. FauBarr, in the meantime, scores 4 points for the city cap, so that's certainly a nice development for him. Self-Evident found a strong move, dropping a city cap next to his monastery, at the same time protecting this vulnerable square, making sure that there's something that can fit in, and there in fact still 5 tiles that can go into this square. Yeah, these curvy tiles. So the Brazilian player is trying to block the Chinese city meeple, but just as he was doing this, Self-Evident drew the tile that fits into the square, one of the many tiles that would fit into this square. Now got a meeple back, 8 points on the scoreboard, 14 points advantage. This situation is looking red for the play, is looking good for the play with the red meeples. So in order to come back, blue now needs to get some meeples back ASAP, so draw something here. That would be nice. And draw something here. That would be nice for sure for blue. But now blue is in a difficult situation, having only one meeple. Like, what does he do? I think maybe the move that you have to play is to go over here. Ooh, that is interesting. Just dropping a tile like this and preparing to block the square. This is certainly very interesting. So red takes 3 points for a road. Blue, what will blue do? Will just blue take this empty city, trying to build something here? Or will blue take this city instead? Instead, blue adds 1 point to red, but with the idea that maybe blue could block red a little bit. I'm not sure if that's actually going to work. At least it's going to work in the short term, as red is not able to place this road over here. But red can still use this road tile over here, for example. Or just start a new road like this. Like, red can do a lot of good things with this tile. But this sequence just goes to show you how hard it is to play when you have only one meeple in hand. Yeah, exactly. So red prepares to finish his monastery, and blue should probably just get a meeple back. I like it. An alternative was a delayed retrieval of a meeple, like going over here, because now what's going to happen, red has 2 choices. One, either block this square over here, or red could go here and kind of prevent his monastery from getting blocked, or red could go over here and start a new city. And probably the latter is the more preferable move, if you ask me. If you place this tile over here and start a new city, the city is worth already 4 points, and the main thing is that there's still many tiles that fit into these squares to develop this city. So I certainly would prefer to see red taking this city, but maybe red will prefer the safety of his monastery meeple instead. We see that he's thinking for a while. As a result, the Brazilian player has the time advantage. Eduardo is asking, hey, isn't it mega late for you? Yes, it is mega late for me. Normally I wouldn't do that, but I kind of figured, since I'm not feeling sleepy, why not just go ahead and comment on some Carcassonne action. Elias is saying you think he'll block. Okay, let's see if your prediction is correct, referring to this move over here. Ah, no, he starts a new city. Okay, so I do agree with the Chinese player here. I certainly welcome greed, at least in Carcassonne context. In some context in real life as well. Yeah, so blue gave up on the blocking idea. It just simply tries to build a new city, and now, oh boy, This will be so hard for blue. This tile will go over here. It should have gone over here in about 0.2 seconds. And you see what this does. It now makes sure that yet again, Fausto needs the same tile everywhere. He needs a city plus road tile in order to finish his city. And also red is developing his city, now putting pressure on blue's meeple and also threatening to finish his city himself. Now self-evident draws another good tile, a city cap that would have fit blue over here. Red has a wealth of options. Could go over here, simply score 4 points. Actually, he should go over here, because the idea if red goes over here, scores 4 points, then red can take a curve and pre-build a long road that goes right through blue's city. And red's idea is that he could just take all of these points. Self-evident draws a nice tile as Fausto just adds 2 points to his city and makes his city slightly safer. Self-evident can respond with the same thing. If red goes over here, pointing with the city downwards, this city will have already 10 points in it. And there will be no direct way to attack this city, and there are still tiles that fit into this square that allow red to complete this city. So life is hard if you're blue. And self-evident just managed to finish a 22-point city with 1 meeple only. This should be decisive if you ask me. As you can see, sort of Fausto is not giving up actually, meepling a farm with the idea that he is going to get a meeple back soon. I actually like this move. The idea behind this move is well, simply to take off a 9-point field from their opponents. Certainly good to see the Portuguese-speaking player fighting back. 39-point difference, but 3 minutes ahead. Maybe blue will be able to exert some time pressure. Do let me know in the chat who's fanning for Brazil and who's fanning for China here. We see 1 vote for Brazil. I mean, this game will probably go to China, but it's not inconceivable that the match could go to Brazil, because a reminder, this is a best of 3. So we will see at least 2 and up to 3 games in this match. Self-evident here drops a farmer with the intention of drawing a curve later and connecting his meeple to the main field. Fausto now blocks red's monastery just in case. Self-evident creates an attacking platform against Fausto's city. What will the Brazilian do? Just take 3 points, I presume? Or trying to somehow build this city? I don't think the building works. So 3 points. Ah! He doesn't have any meeples. Of course, that's the problem for the Brazilian here. Yeah, life is hard. So a clinical move for the Chinese player here would be to go over here and to place his last meeple, trying to connect to a city with the idea that, you know, if, yeah, with the idea that simply of not letting blue complete his city. And blue just played a strong move, so this curve makes it harder for red to connect to his city and also preserves the chances of splitting. The idea is that the splitter tile like this, there's still 1 more of them in the deck, and if blue manages to draw it, then blue will be getting a substantially greater number of points for this guy in comparison for this little guy. Yeah, so blue keeps drawing quick point tiles without getting any points for them. Okay, so hi Manarori, hi Edgar. I can see that most of my viewers are rooting for Brazil. Anybody rooting for China? Just to keep it balanced. The Brazilian player, 7 and something minutes on the clock, a curve in hand. The commentator is getting increasingly sleepy. Should have brewed some coffee, because I have some tea over here, but will it be enough caffeine to sustain through the stream? We will find out in about an hour. Blue does not find a productive use for a tile. Oh, that was actually a good use, trying to block this road a little bit. In the meantime, red pre-built his road. Also, red managed to connect to the field. Yeah, with these moves, it's like there's just nothing that blue can do. Blue needs meeples, and blue needs meeples desperately. Certainly not getting the best luck from here, and red just casually takes a meeple back, risking blue finishing his city. Blue finally gets his meeple back, but it looks like it's going to be a little too late. 20 points on the scoreboard versus 60 points for the Chinese player. Self-evident now will probably go over here and merge the two cities. I think he's just counting the remaining tiles, making sure that he plays the best equity move. 3.5 minutes. This is plenty of time to solve the endgame puzzle. Yes, I know, due to the time I have mostly viewers from the Western Hemisphere, but you know, in China it's like now 9 a.m. There could be somebody from Japan watching, from Australia. Although I guess if you watch from Australia, you're probably going to be relatively neutral about the outcome of the game. So yeah, Fausta finds a nice curve to score 7 points for the road. That worked out for them, at least for now. What is Self-Evident going to do? Maybe just score 4 points over here. Or maybe go over here, drop a farmer. Or just go over here and claim a 7-point city. And this is exactly what he does. This is interesting. This is very interesting. Because he knew that there was a city tile remaining. And so he took this city so that the Brazilian player does not take it. Now, what does the Brazilian player even do? Yeah, that's right. Just a 3-point field. This is all that can happen. And a city tile being dumped. And that's going to be all she wrote. So certainly a very lopsided first game. We didn't see really the start to proper analyze this. So blue was waiting for quite a long time to free up the city, but it was mostly about red's strategy. Look at this. Red did these partial blocks, but red did so many partial blocks. At some point, blue had 4 cities that needed the same tile to be completed. So the first game goes to the Chinese player. Yeah, I Blue kind of bemoaning his fate. But don't do that, actually, if you play your Carcassonne. It's kind of rude if you ask me. Because like there's just no way how you can respond productively if somebody says, hey, you're lucky. I mean, what are you supposed to say? Because when somebody says you're lucky, what this means is, hey, you did nothing to win this game, it was just luck. This is not true. I mean, certainly the Chinese player had the better draw, but they had to find some counterintuitive moves, some non-trivial moves at least, to take advantage of their luck. So, but you know, I've been saying about that a long time ago. So now the Chinese player, the starting player, starting a new city. Blue is immediately joining, and Self-Evident is getting a slight advantage. Oh, wow. That's a very quick mistake here from the player with the blue meeples. Not only is he putting a tile here in a shared city, but at the same time actually making the city very vulnerable to a reconnection if red draws the tile that goes over here. So that's a heavy mistake from the player with the blue meeples. Also, blue helped build red road by accident by forgetting to place a meeple on this road. And this is where tilt might be coming in, because look at this. If blue was frustrated, right, by the tile draw from the previous match, it looks like, even though we started a new game right now, it seems to me that Blue's mind is still in the previous match, and it's certainly preventing them from finding the best moves over here. Now, of course, they take 3 points and are the first on the scoreboard, but red here is threatening to take over this big city, and that's certainly super dangerous. And now the threat is even more severe once red managed to cover up the square. So there are 4 tiles that fit over here, which translate to a like 94% chance of red getting this tile eventually. So I'm liking red chances here. Now he also got 8 points for the city. Even though blue has 8 points for the monastery, red is just slightly ahead here in this game. So again, another imprecision for blue, a really big imprecision. This tile goes over here because the way blue placed this tile over here, it just makes the city so much more vulnerable than if this tile were to go over here. Because now what Self-Evident can do, he can go over here, prolong the city, and kind of attack this road. So that's certainly a move that the Chinese player is considering. And notice that both mistakes made here by the Brazilian player, these were moves which were placed really fast, clearly under the impression of the previous game, while the Chinese player is spending a little bit more time, especially on a decision like this, debating whether to go over here and attack the road or go over here and simply take 3 points. I assume we're going to see one of these moves, but he does none of these 2 things, and instead he decides to attack the city. I'm surprised. I don't think this is the strongest move, but what do I know? I'm not the one playing. So now the Chinese player takes 3 points up top, which also reminds me that I need to move the screen a little bit. And the Brazilian player is doing just all right for themselves, attacking a city, maybe hoping to build a very big city there. But, you know the thing about this city, let me just do this. And this. This is certainly a very neat idea, just trying to win over this city. But the difficulty for blue is that, you see, because of these 2 squares, it will still be possible for red to re-attack this city. So what could happen? Red can patiently wait until blue draws a tile over here, and until blue spends all the moves and all the energy, and then red just goes over here and attacks the city and equalizes it. Of course, in some situations this doesn't happen. In some situations, blue just successfully draws a bunch of tiles and finishes this city. Let's see which scenario will occur in this game. The Chinese player has 5 points more on the scoreboard, has this 2-point road, which probably now is going to be prolonged, or will it? An alternative here for Self-Evident is not Self-Evident at all. he could do something about this monastery square. And there are several ways to do something about this. One is to go over here and kind of block it a little bit, but this is not what he chose to do. Instead, he chose to do for the point scoring move, starting a new city in a safe place and adding 1 point to the road. So it's certainly something that's useful. And now Fausto manages to finish a monastery and drop a 3-point farmer. That is interesting. And of course, at the same time, covering up the city a little bit. So it looks like Blue is basically betting their game on this city, but this city is looking increasingly dangerous. So what does Red do about it? And it seems that Red's idea is just to simply counteract the city by building a city of their own. If Red manages to draw like a couple of Dorito tiles over here and over here, this will give at least 12 points to Red's scoreboard, and then Red is probably okay with Blue finishing this medium-sized city over here. Fausto just started a city pointing downwards away from the map. Not much danger to that move. Now the Chinese player is starting a new road, not afraid to sacrifice his last meeple. Not sure what I think about that, but this certainly pays off, as immediately after that, Self-Evident draws a tile that completes him a 12-point city. 12 points, not a disaster. Like, Blue can absolutely still continue the game. But the problem with Blue's farmer here is that it is only worth 6 points, and it is pretty closed. Unless Blue manages to place a tile over here to get his field some new squares, this farmer is really relying on the completion of this city, in which case the value of this farm will grow from 6 to 9 points. Some options here for the Chinese player with a starting tile. He chooses to try and harass Blue's city a little bit. Blue is unperturbed as he draws a city cap with a curve and finishes his city immediately, adding 6 points on the scoreboard and a meeple back into his hand. Self-Evident gets a divider, and that's an interesting tile. He decides to simply finish a city and start a new one. An alternative was to use this tile over here, which essentially would have been just a quasi-Dorito tile. So the Chinese player chooses to use the more efficient approach and delay gratification in this part of the map. Fausto is also trying to build efficiently, starting a city in the same square, which gives him an extra point for the monastery. Although there were some other options, and now Blue played a very interesting move, adding 1 point to his monastery and also creating an attacking platform against Red's city. Red just keeps building cities, drawing city cap after city cap after city cap. This is certainly a very powerful approach to the game. Like, if you're drawing city cap, they're going to do just fine. But look at this. Blue managed to build up the monastery really quickly. I was a bit surprised that he didn't meeple this road. I think, actually, it was almost a must to meeple this road, because there's some tiles that Red can draw which are kind of devastating. Like, if you get this tile, for example, as Red, you can score 4 points and go over here and protect the city. So a lot of good things can happen for Red if Red manages to draw a rodent before Blue. So it's certainly very risky to leave a juicy road like this open, especially when Blue is behind. Red now just made an important strategic decision. Red started a new field. So Red says that he's not going to fight for the first field. Instead, he's going to fight for the counter field. And this is totally going to work, if you ask me. The reason for this is that this field has way, way more potential, with pretty much 9 points on it already, 12 points. Like, this whole, everything is going to converge. And now that Fausto's meeple is here up north, he's going to have 1 meeple less pretty much forever in his field fights. And so it will be very hard for Blue to maintain parity in the northwest corner of the map. But let's see how he tries. Self-evident tries now to block blue, but maybe as a response, blue could try blocking red, like going over here, for example. That's not a bad move, honestly, just putting a thorn into red's position. An alternative is to go over here and simply keep betting on this city. Since red has only one meeple in hand, red might be reluctant to try and re-attack this city. And honestly, the more I think about this, the more I like the move that goes over here. An alternative is going over here, trying to bother red's bottom city a little bit. And of course, there are some other blocking moves, like going over here, delaying red a little bit. It seems to me that this is the strongest, this is the second strongest, and this is the third strongest. Ooh, and blue goes for something very interesting. And something that is not comprehensible to me. So blue restricted his own city, whilst there was only one tile remaining. And red immediately drew the tile that blue needed. Maybe blue forgot which meeple color he was playing. This can happen at 10:30 p.m. You know, it's now 10:30 p.m. in Brazil and just everybody wants to go to sleep. Well, there are many possible explanations, but you are not getting one from me. But you know, all is not lost for Fausto. Self-evident is now ahead only 1 point. Now, just dropping a tile far, far away somewhere. The Brazilian blocking attempt on the right is negated by a defensive Chinese road. Another blocking attempt up top. Will it work? Probably not, because the red can go over here, kind of making it harder for blue to fill the square. This straight line goes here almost automatically. There we go. Okay, so now many options for the Portuguese player. Let's just think here for a little bit. Like, this is important. Okay, so he chooses to score 4 points and restrict the square much more. So now there's only one tile that fits into this square, the dagger tile, like this. So 2 of them are on board, 1 is still in the deck. And the plan is, of course, for blue to draw this tile. Blue now scored 2 points for roads and now kind of climbing back into this game. Red will likely continue his city at the bottom and maybe start even a new city. Or does he even have to bother? He actually might just leave an empty city cap, because there's so empty city caps lying around. Like, there's really no point in keeping a meeple on a city cap, or at least it has only marginal value. So we might just simply see a simple meeple retrieval at the bottom. And then we're going to have a lot of variance lying around. He chooses to meeple the farm instead. This is interesting, trying to kind of sneak in through here or through here. Now it's time for Fausto to make a big decision. Does he go for one of the city caps? Here, 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 trying to score 8 points? Does he go here or here, trying to block red's efforts of connecting into the field? Or does he go here? Yes, 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 the content move, trying to finish the shared city, which is not a shared city, of course. He's going to have a 2 versus 1 majority. Certainly a move that I can respect, just going for it. Red is very close to connecting into this field, and blue is now spending his last meeple trying to just get some quick points. Red is actually getting some quick points on the right. So will blue draw a curve or not a curve, but a city cap? No, he does not. And we're kind of running out of city caps. So what does blue do? Blue could go over here, trying to attack, to block this road a little bit. Instead, he tries to restrict the field connection. But if red wants, red can connect to the field immediately. They probably should do that. And then at the same time, they will be restricting this square. They could also go over here, take 4 points, or they could be extra sure and try to connect to the city even. But look at this. Fausto drew a dream tile. If he now goes over here, he's one tile away from completing the city. Will that even happen? So Self-Evident draws a city cap just in time. Will he try to reconnect to the city? It feels like he should. Certainly, as red, we can't afford the city getting finished, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's already worth 10 points. And if it gets finished, it's worth 22 points. I don't think the Chinese player is surviving that, despite this big field here. Or maybe he is. Maybe his idea is to go over here, take 7 points, which would be 4 points for the city plus 3 points for the field. And then just hope to outlast. Not outlast, but outrun blue. The Chinese player at a significant time disadvantage. He has half the time of his Brazilian counterpart. On the other hand, with 9 tiles remaining, he will have 5 more moves to play. And having 4 minutes for 5 moves is totally manageable. So I think now what he should do is calculate his options. Certainly quite painful for the Portuguese player here. He was so close to finishing this city. But you see, I mentioned this early on, because like when you start a project like this, you have to know that after you spent all these effort, all these valuable tiles, it is possible that everything here will just be equalized. So I think the best thing that he can do is something like this. Trying to, well, not like this, but turn the other way. That was more precise. Ay, 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 ay. And I think he's trying to make sure that only 2 tiles fit into this square. But had he turned this the other way, only 1 tile would have fit into this square. So Fausto now finishing a shared road, and now both sides have a meeple as a result. Wait a minute. Can Self-Evident just go over here, like for fun? I think that was the move, because can't just Fausto like re-attack this city? So let's say if he goes over here, maybe that like does the job for him. But now that I think about this, the situation is kind of hard. Yeah, Self-Evident draws the tile that fits into this square and gets some road points. And, well, certainly quite a misfortune for the Portuguese player. You know why? Because the remaining tile is the one that fits into this square. So Self-Evident will be getting now 11 points by connecting to the city, instead of some 3 points elsewhere for a field. So 8 more points. No, 7 more points is the price of this coin flip. Let's see if 7 points would have mattered for the outcome of the game. Oh yes, thanks for correcting me, not Portuguese player. Because I'm just thinking about the Portuguese language, also trying to learn Portuguese myself. So certainly a nice effort here from Fausto at the very end. Okay, so 23-point difference. I guess it wasn't enough, so maybe something radical needed to happen. Certainly Fausto needed to win this coin flip and maybe even try to YOLO it and win the city outright and complete it. Well, that didn't work out, so the Chinese player will be cruising his way to a 2-0 victory and now looking very strong in the tournament standings, while the Brazilian will have his work cut out for him. So what happened in this game? Certainly an interesting city takeover at earlier, and whilst Blue attempted the same city takeover, Red managed to swoop in at the very last moment. The early farmer by Blue, that was, I think, the deal breaker in this game. As a result of this farmer, which scored only 6 points, and this farm had kind of very little potential, right? Blue was at a meeple disadvantage for a long time in the game, and as a result, Blue was forced into moves that didn't just extract as much value as they could have. And Red very wisely chose not to fight for this field, but start a field of his own at the bottom, and it totally paid off because Red got 12 points for this field and could have gotten even more. So quite an instructive game, I think, both when it comes to strategy, but also when it comes to psychology. It looks like some early opening mistakes cost the Brazilian player the game pretty much, and that was a result of tilt from the previous game. But I think later on, Blue managed to play very well, you know, create some threats of completing this city, attacking this field, knowing when to place the last meeple and actually risk it. Very nice anticipation farmer over here, preventing Red from taking 9 points for the field, but all of that was a little bit too late. This just goes to show you how much it matters to stay focused in the opening of the game. Hi to you and good night, Hugo. So before I say good night to the rest of you and to myself, hi Self-Evident, congrats on the win. Yeah, so earlier the other Chinese player about 12 hours ago also did quite well. Oh no, actually that was quite the opposite. Yeah, the other Chinese player lost in quite an imbalanced game, so Self-Evident is compensating for his former teammate, or for his teammates in general. So let's see. Self-Evident, we're going to have 3 points now, right? And 7 game wins. Well, this pretty much guarantees qualification, I think, because Killuminati Warrior or Estranthio, they will be able to win their games maybe, but Self-Evident's tiebreaker is looking pretty good, and I just don't see him falling out of the top 3. And if anything, one more win will probably guarantee him winning the group. Oh, there is only one more round remaining. So for Fausto, this will be very hard. I think if he wins like one, okay, so now he's at 3 and 7. If he wins the next match 2-0, he will be at 2 wins, and he's gonna have 5 and 7 records. And then this means that if, let's say, Estranthio loses both of his games and he loses 2-0, he will be at 4-7. So this is how Fausto could qualify. Yeah, so Self-Evident is guaranteed, and then Estranthio could still drop out by losing 2 games, and then so there's still a chance for the Brazilian player to qualify, but now it starts looking increasingly that the top 3 in Group H would likely stay as it is now. As for future streams, I might stream one of the weekend matches. I will see. There's a lot of Carcassonne updates going on, so tomorrow I will be playing, but not in this tournament. I will be playing in a streamers tournament by the player which was organized by Joaquin Calzado, the creator of the Meeple podcast. I will share news in my community tab tomorrow, so keep an eye on my YouTube. On Friday, I will be streaming, together with a special guest, the finals of the Belgian Carcassonne Online Championships. The match will be Crafty Raf against 71 Knife. So 2 pretty much of the strongest Belgian players going at it, and we'll be viewing the action live. That will be 1930 UTC time. So this will be mostly for my European and American, Western Hemispherian viewers. For viewers from East Asia, the timing might be a bit tough unless you're feeling a bit nocturnal. And then, of course, in the weekend, the World Championship Azul qualifiers are starting, and I will share some information and content about that soon enough. But for now, just stay tuned. A lot of Carcassonne is happening and coming your way. Congratulations to Self-Evident 2. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Also, don't forget to meeple the like button, of course. This is important for the algorithm. Thank you all very much. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.